All right, hi everyone, welcome. So we're just gonna start the presentation momentarily. So I just wanted to follow up with everyone, just a little like Zoom protocol. We're just gonna have everyone on mute except the presenters so that everybody can hear what they're saying. If anyone has questions at any time during the presentation, you could put your questions in the chat, and then one of our staff members could answer them individually. If let's say at the end of the presentation you want to speak to either Jasmine or Michelle, like on the side, we could put you into like your own Google Classroom, excuse me, your own Zoom group, and you could be able to talk to them if they have like any specific questions to your scenario. If some of you are like, I want to know how much money I'm gonna get this year. I don't think they're doing that just yet, just because they're still pulling the information from the FAFSA website to get to Rio Hondo, and like they're in that process, so they might not be able to tell you like exact like dollar amount. Also too as well, just be mindful, we're gonna start like around in a couple more minutes, but if you do have any questions, put them in the Google chat. We will have staff members that will answer them privately, and if we do notice that there's a large same questions, we can ask Jasmine and Michelle to answer those questions when we allow for students to ask questions. So we're gonna go ahead and start. So we're actually, since majority of you are from here from yesterday, right? Can you comment yes if you came to yesterday's first day of our open house event? Can you guys all comment in the chat? Just to see that you guys are all hearing me. Okay, 2. And okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let Michelle and Jasmine start their presentation. Since majority of you were here, we're gonna show a video, but majority of you have already seen it, so I don't want to bore you again with the same content. So I'm gonna allow Michelle and Jasmine to take it over. So Michelle, you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Okay, and share your screen, Jess. Are you gonna unmute, Jazzy? All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Casas. I am a senior financial aid advisor here at Rio Hondo College. I take care of the federal work study program on campus, and also work with our foster and homeless liaison.
And my name is Jasmine Zavala. I am also a senior financial aid advisor. My programs are the Cal Grant, the Student Success Completion Grant, and then I also process the DREAM Act applications.
Next slide, Jess. So let's get started. Okay. So applying for financial aid, if you are aware, students should complete either the federal FAFSA application. That application, it is for U.S. citizens or eligible non-citizens or U.S. permanent residents. We also have the California DREAM Act. It is for undocumented students who qualify for AB 540 status. So this application actually became, the 2021 application became available October 1st. The priority deadline, if you guys are coming from high school, you heard the priority deadline often, the March 2nd. So you have till the following next year to complete it, but we do encourage students that are coming for the fall or spring semester, completing the application as soon as possible. It's extremely important that new incoming students verifying your residency with admissions and records and making sure that matches with your financial aid application. Another reminder, a lot of students, if they did not have their social security when completing their college application for Rio Hondo, your FAFSA application it won't be coming in automatically. So it might cause some delays within your financial aid. So if you know for a fact you did not have your social security and you didn't put that on your application, I would check with financial aid, or I'm sorry, with admissions and records to get that settled before the fall semester. And also, if you guys are changing your address, making sure that you do update your address with admissions and records, that's very crucial. Any type of information, or if we're sending information regarding how you're going to be receiving your disbursement, which we'll talk about later, that packet will actually be sent to the address we have on file. So it's extremely important that you guys update your address if you guys do move. Next slide, Jess. So if you are currently enrolled in the summer semester, so a lot of students will have fees, or they currently have fees, they're registered for summer. You still have time to complete the 2019-2020 Fast Forward Dream Act application. A lot of students, if they're under the impression that if they did the 2021, that will cover summer. However, that's a different academic year, so we just wanted to outline the different academic years and what covers what. You still have time to complete the 1920 FAFSA application or DREAM Act. So if you complete it, just follow up with us within 7 to 10 days, and then we could check your status. We want to make sure that your summer fees do get waived. So we get this question asked a lot regarding dependency. So students are considered dependent if they are under the age of 24, if you're not married, and if you do not have children you support. So you are determined that you must provide information on your FAFSA or DREAM Act application. So you are considered independent if you can answer yes to any of these questions. If you are 24 or older, if you're married, if you have children you support, if you're serving on active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces, if you're a veteran, if you have legal dependents that you support more than 50%, and you have documentation that you support those individuals. At any time, if you are in foster care, ward of the court, if you are any type of legal guardianship, or at any time you are at risk of being homeless for that academic year, you would actually meet with me, but we will discuss that in a later slide. So at any time, if you've answered yes to any of these questions, either questions 56 or 55, 56, 57, you will have actually a requirement when we're currently in the process of bringing in the 2021 applications. So if you see that requirement, you answered yes to either 56 through 57. So you would have a requirement to actually meet with me, so I could get everything satisfied to your account and make sure that we certify you correctly.
Okay, so once you complete your application, the next step is checking your financial aid status with Rio Hondo. So you're able to send your FAFSA application or DREAM Act application to multiple schools, but once you decide what school you're attending, you need to see if you have any documents to submit to that institution. So for Rio Hondo, the place that you check your financial aid status is either by logging into your Access Rio or by visiting the financial aid homepage and clicking check my application status. When you first log in, it's going to have you create an account, and you're using your Access Rio login to check that status. So since right now, if your first term is going to be fall, we're starting to import our fall applications, but not all students are able to check their status at this time. So when you're trying to create your check my application status profile, if it's not allowing you to, and you're entering in your birth date, your social security number, and your name correctly, it's because we're still importing your application. So I would wait a couple more weeks to actually try to do that. But I would say by mid-June, everyone's application should be imported. So at that time, you need to make sure you do check to see if you have any requirements for fall. And like Michelle said, if you are attending summer as well, make sure you do the 1920 application and check your status as well. So the reason why you have to check your financial aid status is if you're selected for verification, you will have to submit documents in order to receive your financial aid. So 30% of the population is selected for verification, and that's a process of a financial aid advisor checking your FAFSA application and comparing it to your actual W-2s, tax returns, and we just are making sure that you inputted everything correctly. And once we compare everything, if corrections do need to be made, we would make that correction to your application on your behalf. So you want to make sure if you're going to be attending fall that you check your application status in June and submit all of the documents you need to submit electronically as soon as possible, so that you don't have to get your disbursement late once fall starts. We want to make sure you have all of your disbursements before the semester starts so you can purchase what you need. So we process our verification documents first come, first serve. So we have students that submit documents all the way at the end of the term. So that means they get all of the financial aid that they qualify for at the end of the term instead of the beginning. So like I said, make sure you check the status. Some students can check now, some will have to wait until June to do that.
Jazzy, I just want to add, can you go back
Yes.
one slide? So in the fall semester, that's probably our busiest semester. So just keep in mind, we want you, if you are selected for verification, we want students turning in this documentation in the summer because it can take about 8 to 10 weeks. I believe last fall, it took 8 to 12 weeks to process documentation because everyone's turning in their documents. So if you guys could, if you are selected, I would encourage you guys to submit the documentation. As soon as it opens up, you guys will get a notification to create an account. Any type of communication we have with students is going to be on their Rio Hondo email. So making sure that you guys check that regularly, getting used to checking that because that's how we will communicate with you guys.
Okay, so a lot of students always ask us like, my friend got this amount of money, why didn't I get that amount? So the way financial aid is determined, so all of your awards is going to be based off the expected family contribution. So that's the number that you receive from your FAFSA or DREAM Act application. And it's calculated based off the household size, the household income, the number of people in college. So every student has a different EFC. And what the EFC is the amount of money your family is able to contribute to your education for that year. So after you completed your FAFSA or DREAM Act, you would have got an estimate for your EFC. So if your EFC was 0, that means based off what you put on your application, you're not able to contribute anything to your financial, to your education for that year. So that means you have a bigger need. So your financial, sorry, my dog's barking. So if you have a high EFC, that means you have a low financial need and you may not qualify for financial aid. So the cost of attendance is subtracted by the EFC to give you your need. So that means every single student's financial package, your award page is going to look different. And so the federal aid that we have available at Rio Hondo is the Pell Grant. So the Pell Grant is based off financial need that goes directly to students, and students do not have to repay it as long as they don't drop all of their classes. And then federal direct loans are funds that are provided to students that does have to be repaid with interest. And then federal work study is when students are able to work on campus and they're working to earn their financial aid. So all 3 of these awards are for students who complete the FAFSA application. So our dreamers do not qualify for either of these 3 awards. And then state aid available at Rio Hondo. So these 4 awards are available to both FAFSA students and our DREAM Act students. So the California Promise Grant is the grant that pays tuition for students. This does not go directly to students. It goes to cover fees only. The Cal Grant is based off need as well as your GPA. So if you're a recent high school graduate and you had a 2.0 GPA and you have financial need, then it's a high likelihood that you qualify for the Cal Grant. The Student Success Completion Grant, we'll go into that a little bit more, but it's a grant that does not have to be repaid. And then the Chafee Grant is for former foster youth.
So going over, once you guys, this is actually going to be a different, when you log into your Access Rio, you could actually go under finance and you could you'll be able to see a financial aid overview what you've been awarded. So just keep in mind the awards are based off full-time enrollment. So it's based off, you know, a full-time student, 12 units or more. Students are just, the amount that they're dispersed is based off their enrollment status. So just keep in mind, if you are dropping classes, all your awards will be adjusted. And then the unit enrollment and EFC will affect the disbursement that you do see. So what we had here is just an example of when closer to the fall semester, like early June or hopefully mid-June, you'll start seeing what has been applied to your account. So the California Promise, like Jasmine indicated, that's going strictly towards your tuition. You will have to pay some mandatory fees, like student fees, health fees, but that will be posted on later. It will be what you've been awarded for the Pell Grant, the FSCOG. For example, this student had federal work study, so they were working on campus, but it gives you a breakdown of the fall and the spring semester. Our disbursements. So all our disbursement dates will be posted online. Currently, we do have a summer disbursement. If students were here in the fall and the spring semester, then they are eligible, depending on eligibility, they are eligible for a summer disbursement. If your first semester is summer, you will not be eligible for a disbursement. You might see it posted on your account that you have a federal Pell Grant. However, if you weren't here for fall, spring, full-time, you're not eligible for that disbursement. So let's see. So our dates will get posted once we update we finalize our dates for the fall and also for the spring of next year.
So the federal Pell Grant is the most common grant that students receive. It is not unlimited. So for financial aid purposes, we use percentages instead of years. So for the federal Pell Grant, students get 600% for their lifetime to cover their bachelor's degree. So if a student's attending and receiving the Pell Grant for 1 year as a full-time student, that means if you attended fall for 12 units and spring for 12 units and received the Pell Grant, then you would have utilized 100% out of your 600%. But if you're attending half-time, so if you're attending 6 units for fall, 6 units for spring, and you're receiving the Pell Grant, that means you've utilized only 50% of the 600%. So we recommend that at a community college, you do not use more than 300%, and make sure you have at least 300% when you transfer. So typically it takes 2 years as a full-time student. So ideally you would use 200%, and then have 400% when you transfer. But sometimes students change their majors or they take extra classes, and so they may use 300%. So we definitely recommend you stay under that 300%, and you could always check how much eligibility you've utilized at www.nslds.ed.gov. And we always will help you out as well if you want to know how much eligibility you've had.
When you get close, I just want to add, when you get close to when you go over 400%, you actually have a warning on your financial aid application that will get triggered to the school. Pretty much you have to accept, or if you're wanting to accept what you've been awarded, and if you want to keep receiving it at a community college. So it gives you a warning like you have 200% remaining, and then you either accept or decline, or if you want to put it on hold when you do decide to transfer. But pretty much we won't be able to clear that flag on your financial aid application until you either accept it or decline it.
And also keep in mind, at a community college, your grants are going directly to you, because we have the fee waiver. So your fee waiver is paying for your tuition, and any grant money goes directly to you. Whereas at the four-year institution, there is no fee waivers. So all of your grants first go to pay your tuition. So you want to definitely make sure you have Pell Grant left when you transfer to the four-year institution, because if not, then you're going to have to be paying out of pocket.
And just keep in mind, every year is different. So 1 year, a student might not be eligible. Don't get discouraged. Still fill out the financial aid application, because when you get to a 4-year, maybe you didn't qualify at a community college, but now you're considered an independent and it's not looking at your parents' income anymore. You might qualify when you get to a 4-year, so your eligibility just changes from year to year.
Mm-hmm. And after you said that, made me think of students who, as freshmen, decide to decline all of their financial aid. But once you transfer, you're not going to be at a 4-year institution for more than 4 years if you got an AA first. So we definitely recommend at least use it for 2 years while you're here.
Yeah, you can't go, let's say, for example, you transfer to Cal State Fullerton. You can't, go to Cal State Fullerton's financial aid and ask them, hey, I never received it at Rio Hondo College. I want my financial aid that I didn't receive for those 3 years. They're going to say, sorry, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that.
Okay, so the Cal Grant is a state grant that both FAFSA and DREAM Act students qualify for. And if you had a at least a 2.0 GPA in high school and you completed your application on time, your FAFSA or DREAM Act application by the March 2nd deadline, then you qualify for a Cal Grant as long as you have financial need. So the requirements are completing your application by March 2nd, submitting a GPA. So if you're a recent high school graduate, your high school would have submitted it on your behalf. But if you've been out of high school for more than a year, then you'll have to actually go back to your high school and request for your GPA to be sent by the March 2nd deadline. Or if you have 24 transferable units at a community college, then the community college would send your GPA on your behalf as well. But it is your responsibility to make sure that on the March 2nd deadline, those two things have been done. And the way you can keep up to date with your requirements or to check the status of your Cal Grant to see if you've been awarded for the 2021 school year is by creating a Web Grants for Students account. So this is the time, if you're coming to school for fall, that you can start checking that status. So if you haven't already created an account, this is separate from FAFSA and the DREAM Act application. You should create a Web Grants for Students account. There's 3 types of Cal Grants. Cal Grant A can be utilized only at the 4-year institution. Cal Grant B can be used at a university or a community college. And then Cal Grant C is for vocational programs only. So you can only be awarded one at a time. So if you have a Cal Grant B, then you're not going to get the Cal Grant A for this year. So if you haven't already created an account, this is the time to do it. And this year, there's a new Cal Grant. It's Cal Grant for students with dependent children. So on your FAFSA application or DREAM Act, it does ask if you have dependent children, if you have children that you provide more than 50% of support for. So previously, the Cal Grant B was 1,672. However, if you have children that are your dependents, that changed from up to 6,024. And then the Cal Grant C changed from 547 to 2,000 per term. So this gives a lot of assistance to students who have dependents. And the Student Success Completion Grant, this is a grant that is for students who have received a Cal Grant B or a Cal Grant C. It's funded through the Chancellor's Office, and it's for students who are taking 12 or more units. So if you have been paid out a full Cal Grant B or full Cal Grant C, and you're in between 12 and 14.5 units, you receive an extra $649 a term. And if you're taking 15 or more units, you receive an extra $2,000 a term. So this again is money that goes directly to you as the student to help you pay for books, to help you attend school. This is not going to pay for your tuition, it'll go directly to you. And this isn't something that you have to apply for. If you qualify for it, we'll automatically award it to you.
Okay, so making sure that you stay financial aid eligible, because it does affect academics. It also affects you being suspended from financial aid. So in order to remain eligible, you must maintain a GPA of a 2.0, complete at least 67%. So we added a little chart here. You know, if you start off with 12 units, the 67% is 8 units, but at the end of that semester, your GPA also has to be a 2.0. So it's extremely important that every semester you're doing well. For example, if you have one bad semester, you will be placed under financial aid probation for the following semester. If you have 2 semesters in a row, then you will be suspended from financial aid. And typically I see students having to sit out until they show progress within their financial aid. So they have to sit out fall and spring without receiving any financial aid. And you do not want to exceed over the 90 units. So Jasmine mentioned this earlier, that students are changing majors, which we understand happens. There's remedial classes that need to be taken. So once a student hits 60 units attempted, they become under monitoring. However, because of the majors, the additional classes that need to be taken, high unit majors, there's an additional 30 units that are given. But as soon as you hit the 90, you become ineligible, and you actually would have to submit a financial aid appeal, which goes to a committee, and they will look at overall what classes you've taken, if you've changed your major, if you're planning a transfer, how much of your Pell lifetime eligibility you use. So the committee has counselors, it has staff from financial aid, and either it gets approved or denied. But same thing, if you fall under suspension due to extenuating circumstance, so something that was out of your control that made you, not have a successful semester, you could also submit a financial aid appeal. Our appeals won't be open for this academic year. They have closed. The deadline was May 8th, last Friday, but we will open up, I believe, closer to this fall semester. We'll open it up for the 2021 academic year. So any new students, how we disperse financial aid is through Bank Mobile. So this is a third-party bank that disperses students' funds. If you are a new student, you will be getting the famous green envelope in the mail. And that's why we keep saying we want to make sure that your address gets updated if it's wrong, or if you forgot to add the apartment number, because this green envelope will be sent to that address. So it's pretty much a welcome packet. It's how you want to select how you want your refund to be processed. If you want it to be processed through Bank Mobile, you could select that. Or if you have your own personal bank account, which we encourage you guys to set up your own personal bank account, like if you have Wells Fargo, a credit union. The reason why is because Bank Mobile has fees every time you take money or some types of transactions, or if you drop below so many units, then they're going to start charging you. So those are things to consider, and that's why we encourage students taking out or opening their own personal bank account. The only thing is, let's say, for example, we disperse money on a Friday. It might take about 1 or 2, 3 business days for you to actually receive it. So there is a small delay, but just think about all the money you're saving with all the fees. DreamAct students, you will not receive a green envelope in the mail. You will actually, this will be, if you are eligible for a disbursement, like a Cal Grant disbursement, it will be sent to the address that we have on file through admissions and records. So let's say, you haven't received the green envelope beginning August, maybe right before the semester starts. Email financial aid. We also are on chat, so you could ask us. We could generate you a code, and then you have 24 hours to activate this code. But we usually won't start sending out those codes until closer to the fall semester beginning. So if you have any questions, since we are online currently right now, we are all working remotely, you can email financial aid. Just please make sure that you are emailing from your Rio Hondo email and include your student ID, because then that's just causing delays. It might take us a day or so. We do respond within 24 to 48 hours, but if you have a very detailed email, including your student ID, first and last name, we'll be able to assist you right away and try to address all your questions in that first email. If you would like to call us and leave us a voicemail, same thing, first name, student ID, so we could pull up your information. We are on Zoom conferencing. Our chat box is very popular, so if you want to chat with us, that is also available. And then just staying connected, we created our Instagram page, so any type of updates or any information that we think is important to students, we'll be posting on there. And I think that's it. So should we open it up for questions?
Yeah, that's a great start. One thing that I know that there was a question that was addressed in the chat, or if a student doesn't have like a California ID because like the DMV is not open, what are some form of identification that you'll be allowed to present to you guys?
Is this for verification?
Yeah. So like if a student needs to show an ID for like a California ID or anything like that, what are some other forms of identification they can use?
I think right now DMVs are open.
Yeah, I know Montebello's open, but I'm thinking it's a specific verification where that specific verification, we have to have a valid identification card and high school completion. It either has to be notarized. So with that, I don't think there's no way with that specific verification, we do need to have some type of photo ID. And with the DMVs, some DMVs they're open now. I don't think we could waive that requirement.
Can they use their high school ID number? I mean, their high school ID? No? Okay.
So it depends on what, like, it depends on what, if it's asking for like a state ID or a passport, then it needs to be that specific one. But like in person, we would ask for photo IDs to answer students' questions. That's different. Like if we were still going to the actual institution, like Rio Hondo, then we could just use a high school ID. But when it's actually for a verification, we need the official ID.
A student asked in the chat, is it too late to sign up for the FAFSA?
No, it's not too late. It's still open. They can complete, if they're enrolled in summer, they can complete the 1920, or if they were enrolled for fall and spring and they just never completed it, they can still do that. If they are eligible, they could get their tuition waived for that academic year.
Yeah, so the application stays open until June 30th. So the 1920 application will stay open till June 30th, 2020. And then the 2021 will stay open till June 30th, 2021.
We just encourage students to complete it before the semester ends, because sometimes in the system, there could be discrepancies, or there can be some errors that it doesn't get posted on time. And then when pretty much the academic year closes and books close and everything closes for us for that specific 1920 year, we won't be able to go back and apply anything. So if a student has an out-of-pocket, they're going to be responsible to pay that out-of-pocket.
So another question, I don't know if you heard me, is how does the 2-year free tuition work?
Okay, so the 2-year tuition, so there's the California Promise, which used to be called the BOG waiver, which majority of the students do qualify for the California Promise, the waiver. That's basically what will waive their classes. They won't have to pay out of pocket. The only times when the Real Promise, which will cover the students' first and second year tuition, is when their parents' income is extremely high. So we do have requirements for the Real Promise. So a student has to be enrolled in at least 12 units. That will get checked. We will go ahead and verify that information. And students, those fees, if we see that they have a financial aid application or a DREAM Act application on file, and they do not qualify for the California Promise, we get a list of those students and pretty much will manually add the Real Promise per semester. So we'll check enrollment. So if the first semester is fall and they're enrolled in 12 units and they're not eligible for that, we'll waive their tuition for the first semester. And then second semester enrollment will have to be checked again. And if they're enrolled in 12 units, same thing, it'll get applied. Students don't have to worry about drop for non-payment. So Rio Hondo, we don't do that anymore. I know in the past, like if you owe a certain amount, if you don't pay that, you'll get dropped from your classes, but we changed our policies so students don't have to worry about getting dropped. And then for the second year tuition, you have to at least have 24 units that you've completed to be eligible for the Real Promise second year.
And like Michelle said, the California Promise is the one that students usually get. That one's based off your financial need. So if you have financial need, you'll automatically get that one. That one does not have a unit requirement. So if you have the California Promise grant, if you have financial need, then you can be in 3 units, you can be in 20, you can be in 15, it doesn't matter. If you have that high EFC, that high household income, then there are requirements that you have to do in order to remain not having to pay for tuition. And it looks like we got another question. It says, I got the green envelope. Should I activate it now or should I wait until I open a bank account? So it's kind of up to you. Just a reminder, everyone gets the green envelope, even if you don't qualify for financial aid. So just because you got the green envelope doesn't necessarily mean that you have grants there waiting yet. But we do recommend If you're going to open up a bank account soon and you know you want to get direct deposit, then you can just wait and to open up the bank account first, because right when you log in to create your bank mobile account, it's going to ask for your refund preference. So it's going to say, do you want to open up a bank account with Bank Mobile, or do you want to provide your own personal bank account information? So if you don't have the personal bank account information, then you're going to default to the Bank Mobile bank account. You could always change that later on when you get your personal bank account, or you can just wait. So just as long as you have it complete and set up, I would say about 2 to 3 weeks before fall semester starts, because that's the soonest you're going to get a disbursement.
Just keep in mind, Bank Mobile, they have security, how would you say it, Jess? Students
Privacy.
Privacy. So they usually will ask students to send in like a copy of their social security card, their driver's license, or some type of identification. We have no control over that. So whatever they're asking you, they're very specific too. Like pictures have to be in color. They don't want black and white, photocopies, anything like that. So you will get notification if you have to do like verification on your student account through Bank Mobile.
Yeah, and that's only you might have to provide that information only if you're creating a bank account with them, because it's also a bank, so they need to prove your identity. So it says, when I added my classes for fall 2020, when do I have to pay the amount? So either you can wait to see if you're going to qualify for financial aid. You're not going to be dropped from your classes. But say you don't qualify for the fee waiver because the income's too high and you're not taking 12 units, so you don't get the Rio Promise, then you're not going to get dropped from your classes, but you won't be able to add more classes. So if you have a balance, you won't be able to register for the next semester if you have that balance. So it's up to you kind of when you want to pay that off. But if you do qualify for financial aid, then that should, and then you already did the FAFSA, that should clear by June. So you could wait, or you could pay it, or yeah.
We had another question. Whenever I log into Access Rio and comes up as an error, does that mean I'm not allowed to log in? So Access Rio and checking your financial aid are different. So which one are you referring to? I think it was Jenny. Because if you're getting an error when you're checking your financial aid, if you filled out a financial aid application for the 2021, that's why you are getting a error message in red stating that you do like I don't know the exact message, but the reason you're receiving that message is because we haven't brought in the 2021 applications. We're currently in the process, and that academic year is not open. Did that answer your question, or was it for your Access Rio?
I think it was for both, but I'll talk to her on the side and help figure it out.
Okay.
There's a question from Ariana where what balances are you talking about, and what does the Rio Hondo promise cover?
So the Rio Promise covers enrollment fees. So it's $46 per unit. But there's also $35 for student fees. So even if the Rio Promise, if you do qualify for the California Promise or the Rio Promise, then it'll cover the $46 per unit, but it'll still remain $35 in student fees, which includes health fee, transportation fee, student services fee, and all of it together is $35.
And I believe, I don't know, we haven't received confirmation, but if we stay online, I believe those fees will get reduced because they were reduced for the spring semester, but we just don't know yet.
Are there any? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. If you are a DreamAct student as well, when you create your Rio Hondo financial aid account, if it asks for the social security number, then you use your Dream ID that's associated with your DreamAct application instead of the social security number.
Are there any more questions? You could use the chat or you can unmute yourself to ask your question. Um, this is a great time to ask the financial aid advisor or financial aid specialist just because they're here. And if you have questions, this would be the best opportunity to ask them just because this is the best time because you're honestly, these are the ones that are going to be inputting all that information. So if you have like some sort of question, like anything, this would be the best time.
I'm sorry, but how can you check what you qualify for?
What year are you looking for? What semester are you trying to see what you qualify for?
Both summer and fall.
Are you on your Access Rio?
I can pull it up right now.
On your Access Rio, it would be under financial status or financial award.
Okay, thank you.
But that will just give you the breakdown for the summer if you're currently enrolled. So you should see your fees go down if you did complete a 1920 application. Just keep in mind there might not be a tab for 2021, or if there is a tab, there's nothing on there. So don't freak out. It's just we haven't opened that academic year yet.
Thank you.
No problem.
How do you know if you get accepted or enrolled, and how would I know if my FAFSA got received?
Okay, so if you have been accepted, so Jesse, how do you
Well, I can answer that part. So the way you know you've been accepted is, well, usually the way a community college works is everyone gets into the college, but you have to do specific requirements to be able to allow to enroll. So if you did an online application, for example, like you want to take classes in the fall 2020, then you've done your fall application. You need to make sure that you do your online orientation, your placement tool with the college counselor, and then you also need to complete your FAFSA or your California Dream Act. Now, for the instance of how do you know if your FAFSA or Dream Act has been received, that's where they can answer that.
So we won't know for fall. We're trying to do our best to bring in all applications. We're currently working on trying to get all applications, and for us to open the academic year, we're hoping mid-June. So we're hoping maybe the second or third week of June, we have that. So you will be notified what you've been awarded, if you have any outstanding documents that you need to submit to our office. So we're really crossing our fingers that we can open it up early and you guys could see what you've been awarded.
And based off your FAFSA, you would have gotten an email that gave you like an estimate of what you might qualify for. So this is based off if you are not selected, then most likely that's what you would qualify for. But if you're selected for verification and if we need to make corrections to your application, then that amount might change. So that's a good way to get an estimate of what you might qualify for. And then also web grants for students. There you'll be able to see if you qualify for a Cal Grant. So if you qualify for a Cal Grant and you know you're going to take 12 units, then you know you also get the Student Success Completion Grant. So these things are based off your financial need. So you can kind of have an idea going into school which you might qualify for by just checking the status of your awards. You'll be able to see it all on Rio Hondo's Access Rio, like Michelle said, in June. But you can kind of start looking right now to see, oh, I know I'm going to be in 12 units. I know I have a Cal Grant. So those two things you know you're going to be getting for sure.
I have a student that said, what happens if they, from CSAC, that they didn't get their their GPA verified? Where are they supposed to go?
Okay, so does the student have college units? Well,
what the student said is, I received an email from CSAC saying that I'm missing Cal Grant GPA for 2021 school year. They did not receive my school verified GPA. How do I fix it?
So for seniors that were in school for this school year, so in March, if you were a senior in high school, your high school would have sent it. For us, for Rio Hondo, we send students GPAs this March if you had 24 transferable units. So if you don't fit into either one of those categories, then if you don't have any college units, you would have had to have gone back to your high school. And the California Student Aid Commission has a Cal Grant form that you would have printed out, physically taken it to your high school and requested for them to send it. Or same thing goes for a college. If you have units at a college as of March, 24 transferable units or more, then you would have taken that form to the college. So now if it's asking you to do an appeal to explain why you didn't submit the GPA on March 2nd, you have to take it to wherever you have those units. So if you don't have college units, you have to request the high school to do it. If you have college units, then you would take it to that college. So for us, we're taking it electronically through admissions and records, since it is a GPA verification. That's a form that admissions and records would complete. But every student situation is a little bit different. So I'm not sure if you're a recent high school graduate or if you're a college student. So that it all depends.
We had another question. If I have a certain amount for the fall semester, how would I know my FAFSA got received? So we don't have any students that have been awarded for the fall semester. So if you have checked and at the end of June, you haven't seen any awards, then you could check with us. On the PowerPoint, I had identified that some students don't include their, I see this with a lot of incoming freshman students. A lot of students don't have their social security when they're filling out their application. So that's where it could cause a delay in bringing in your financial aid application. If we don't have a social, your FAFSA will never come in. And we see a lot of students, our lines are usually long at the beginning of the semester because they haven't received anything, they don't see any awards, they have a balance. We can apply any type of awards until we have a financial aid application on file and your socials with admissions and records. So your actual social security number. So if you see that you haven't, like nothing has been applied to your account, check, either email us, chat with us, and just making sure that we do have a financial aid application on file so it doesn't cause any delays within your financial aid.
So Carla's asking about the DMV. So Carla, are you seeing that you need an ID? Because right now we're not requesting any information. So not all students need, so it is saying to verify. For 1920? Okay.
What city do you live in? Because our director informed us that the Montebello DMV has been open. Just opened up this week. And I believe the other closest one is going to be in Santa Ana. So you might have to see if an appointment's available for the Montebello location. But if that's being required, is this for verification, like you were a student for the fall and spring semester and enrolled in summer? Because I don't want you to have to go through verification if you were just enrolled in the summer semester and you weren't here for fall and spring, because you're not going to be eligible for a disbursement. So I don't want you to have to go through all that if you weren't here for fall and spring. Okay, we have another question. I applied for FAFSA while living with my mother, but did not qualify because of her husband. I recently moved out and I still edit or qualify for a small amount of money, even though my father does not do taxes. I was a senior in high school. So unfortunately, you are considered a dependent student. You will need to provide parental information. It looks like dad didn't qualify, or let's see.
I think she's asking if she could change it to her dad's.
You can. You just need to make sure that you remove all mom's information and all dad's information is reported, and check back. If this is for the 2021, we would need to bring in your first application that you submitted, and then we would need to bring in your second application. Yeah, but you can do those changes.
So if you're removing mom's and stepdad's information, make sure you remove both, and then input your dad's information. And even if he doesn't do taxes because he doesn't need to do taxes, then you would put that he doesn't do taxes. But if he doesn't do taxes but works, then that's when it gets more complicated. So it's okay that he doesn't file taxes, but it's because it would have to be because he isn't required to do taxes.
Are there any more questions or anything? Don't forget, if you want, let's say tomorrow you have a question that just came to you, you can go onto the financial aid website on the Rio Hondo website, and they have a little chat box function, and that's where you can actually chat with a financial aid rep. I know there's one student that does want to stay and be put into a breakout room. Is there anyone else so that I could assign one of the reps, the financial aid reps, to go into a breakout room? But are there any other questions that we can answer general before we go into the breakout room? And then those of you who do not want to be in the breakout room, you're good to go. So we just want to say thank you. Tomorrow, we're also going to continue. I believe it's our transfer process. So we're going to be able to go over that to learn more information on that. Please be mindful that we are using our platforms to contact you guys. So if you have questions, please utilize these formats. We're here to support you and to help you. But are there any other questions? Please note that in the chat so we know if there's any questions that we can have to address. But I know there's one student that wants to go into a breakout room. Do you, Michelle or Jasmine, which one of you want to go into the breakout?
Jazzy, I'll do it, Jazzy.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna stay on for a little bit.
Okay.
Can you send me the requests again? I saw it and then it went away. Okay.
So are there any other questions, or if any of you want to go into like a breakout room to talk to Jasmine, I could do that as well. Or I might have to wait until Ariana's finished talking to Michelle. But if any of you have any questions, it's the best time to ask. Like Jasmine is like one of the brains in financial aid. Like if I don't know the answer, I go to her or to Michelle. So these are like the best resource that you can get. Especially if your parents are asking you some questions that you don't have the answer to about financial aid, this would be the best place to ask. So Brittany wants to join. Yes, Brittany, I can send you one right now. Let me see if I can do that. Give me a couple minutes.
Okay.
So Brittany, hold on, just because I'm waiting for the other room, because I only created one room. So my bad on that. I thought I could go back and edit. So just give me a couple minutes, okay? Yeah, so if you all want, what you could do too is you can also just in the chat, you can where Jasmine is, you could just send her a direct message. So if for example, I know Jenny had a quick question, you can just go to where it says to, where it says everyone, you can change everyone and you could change it to Jasmine, and you could just say, hey Jasmine, this is Jenny, I have a question on regarding to blah blah blah. just because I didn't open the breakout rooms appropriately, and I do apologize for that. If you want to, we could still do that as well. I just need to wait until the other breakout room is finished. Or actually, let me jump into theirs, and then I'm going to make another breakout room. Okay, guys, so I'm going to do the both breakout rooms. So give me 1 second. Why isn't it? Oh, I think they're still in their breakout room.
Okay.
Are some of the students contacting you on
Yeah,
there? Okay.
I'm chatting right now.
Okay. Yeah, because it won't let me close it because they're still in there.
Okay. Okay, I see some.
Okay, so yeah, they came back. All right, does anybody else wanted to do the breakout room so then I could set up more breakout rooms? Yes, the meeting is over. So if anyone doesn't have any more questions, we're good to go. Awesome. Thank you all for joining and hope to see you all tomorrow. Are there any last minute questions? Because I know, so you can also put in the chat if you had any specific questions. You can also do that to Michelle as well. So I know Jenny and Brittany and Vane.cxx might have questions. Let me see. All right, I know, is there anyone else that wants to do a breakout room? So let me try to see if I can navigate that. Jenny or Brittany or Vane, did you have any questions? I know, Jasmine, you're typing with somebody, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if, okay, so also, okay, Michelle, I'm gonna put you into a room with Brittany.
Sounds good.
Did you get it?
No.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Actually, I could do it. Did you want to do your own room, Jasmine?
Does anybody have any more questions?
And then I know
Brittany had.
Brittany. Yeah. So I'll assign Brittany to Jasmine.
Where does it come up?
It should pop up.
Where?
It should pop up. Did you get it? Oh, wait. That makes sense. I didn't assign you 0. Okay, there you go. Did you get it? Okay.